This video is a DIY for replacing this screen in the screen door. This is a rolling screen door for my double door on my deck. It's coming loose in a lot of places. You'll see these are, you get screen doors like this, people kick it and push through it and they just kind of wear out. And this screen is actually quite old, quite worn. So it's time for replacement. It really doesn't take all that long. And so the tools that you'll need that I'm using, you'll need a supply of spline. It's enough to go around the perimeter of the screen door. That'll hold the screen in. And then you need a razor knife and you need a tool like this that puts the spline and sets it correctly. I also use a screwdriver, needle nose pliers. This will take out the old spline quite easily. I use some duct tape to hold the screen in place while I'm getting ready to put the new one in and seal it. And then you need a piece of screen. I got this at Lowe's. This is the right dimensions for this door. You can get different colors. Also, you can either get nylon or you can get steel. So I've used both. The steel is a little harder to work with. This is the nylon. And so this is what I'll be using on this project. So the first thing you need to do is take your needle nose and go over and start removing the spline like this. So I'll take this out and then we'll pick up later. With the spline removed, very easy now just to use anything to start pulling the screen out and come right off, no problem. On my screen projects, I like to put a little duct tape, actually on all four corners, kind of keeps it in place, gives a nice neat finish when the screen is done, get a nice taut look. So that's how I work this. And then you choose any corner. I've chosen this one here. This is where I use my screwdriver and I will seat this spline right into this corner. This is where I'll start. And once I have it seated correctly, I will then use my device and roll it into the ridge where we took the old spline out. And it'll begin to move forward, go right around the entire screen. As you get to the corners, that screwdriver will come in handy to seat it correctly, because this wheels won't quite get into the corners there. So I'm going to take this all the way around just like that. As you're doing that, you want to keep your screen taut. Make sure that it's fairly tight, especially when you get to the other side and then the end. Also at the bottom of your screen doors, you'll see these adjusters, and that's where the screwdriver comes in very useful to, as you're going around, to seat it there correctly, like I'm doing here, on both sides, and then continue on, then on up the other side. As you're coming up the second side, the opposite side of the one you've already done, you're going to want to make sure you're pulling the screen taut as you're putting the spline in. As you go up each little section, just keep it taut. Again, that'll give you a nice finished look when you're done. Now I'm coming down to my last corner here, and you'll see when I've ended up where I started, and I'm going to take my razor knife and just cut this spline right here, and then the project's done. This tool, you'll note, it comes with can't really see it on here. There's a groove side and a rounded side. So the groove side is to put the spline in originally, then you're supposed to follow up with the rounded side. It's a little more pointed. You can probably get away with just using the rounded side completely the whole way around, but that's why there is two different sides on there. So, and I'm getting ready to use my razor knife. And as I do this, I'm just going to lay it right in along here, the edge. There's a little line in there on these screens. I'm just going to follow it all the way up, all the way around on the screen. We're going to trim off this loose screen you don't need. As I said, there's a little edge right here, and as you move along, you can cut this right out. It really takes two hands, but you'll see what I mean. You go right along the edge, you'll cut that screen out. Now that the excess screen is off and have a nice finished look on the edge, it's advisable to take the rounded edge of your tool and go back over every area to make sure that there's no weak spots. It's all pressed in, because what you don't want is to have this pop out when the screen is being used. So I'm going to go all the way around, double check this. If the corner is popped up, again, get your screwdriver and push it in there. And when your project is done, it should look nice and smooth like this one does. No wrinkles in there to speak of. In fact, there is none. So it should looks like it's brand new. So the whole project without interruption would take about 10 minutes, from taking the screen out and the spline out, putting the new material in. So yeah, give it a try. I don't know how much a hardware store would charge you for this. I'm gonna guess it'd be $40 to $50. For me, for materials, it cost me about $6 to $8. So it's definitely an easy DIY project. I wish you luck.